Have you ever went to the movies or saw an ad and it's for a movie that's already been made numerous times and you say, why are they making this movie again? They just made some Jurassic Park movie. They've made 15 new Star Wars movies and they all suck. I just made a video about Jack Doherty and how he had a collab with Wes Watson and it was the worst thing I've ever seen. They made a sequel. This sequel, which first of all was insufferable to watch, by the way, guys. I tried to watch as much of it as I could. I had to turn it off. If I had the choice of watching this whole live stream with Jack Doherty and Wes Watson or getting food poisoning right now, I'm going to get the barf bucket right now. I mean that. That's how bad it is. But that video wasn't for nothing because Wes Watson let slip one of his fatal flaws. And I'm about to expose Wes Watson again. Let's go ahead and roll the video. I'll jump in as necessary and tell y'all how it really works.
I got 805 in this account, bro. That's a baby account.
Send me some.
That's like my fucking fun account. It's like what I pay my maids and my chick with.
Notice how he didn't actually show the camera the account, right? He just showed the people in the background. That's because there's not actually anything there. We all know this whole scam. Hey, I got $1 million. Oh, no, you can't look at the screen. You can't look at the screen. But for this video, let's play along with Wes. Let's say he's right. Let's go back to giving him the benefit of the doubt like I did 1,000,000 times on my first ever video on this channel and say he has $800,000 in that account. Well, he noted that this is his fun account, as he said, for his girl and his maid. We can assume there's at least one other account and it has equal or more money. So in a worst case scenario, Wes should have at least 2 accounts with $1.6 million in it.
That's like my spending account.
Got so no taxes?
Me? Oh, fuck.
Turn the cameras off.
Yeah, facts.
When I saw that, it definitely came across like I'm not going to pay it. But if you had any doubt, look at what he said after.
I've been to state prison, so white collar prison ain't much to me. Go up to state with the feds, chain out with Martha Stewart for a little bit, ain't nothing. Oh boy. Rather than pay them my fucking money, they're tripping how much money they want from you. Holy shit. Yeah.
Did you guys catch that? He said he would rather go to prison, which first of all, I don't understand why this guy talks so much about the fact he's been to prison. I've never seen someone celebrate they've been arrested more than Wes Watson. But did you catch it though? He said, I would rather go to prison and spend time with Martha Stewart, who is obviously in prison, rather than pay the money that they're asking for. Now tell me that is not outright saying, I don't pay the taxes. There were a lot of rumors recently that the IRS was coming for Wes, that he owed a ton of money in back taxes and they're knocking at his door and his time is running out. And to me, the way I see this is pretty much a confession here that he doesn't pay his taxes. But look, he has an explanation for it, and I'm getting ready to explain to you why this explanation is complete crap.
And then I use creative ways to get rid of it, and they get mad at that.
Let me tell you this, the government, which I don't like, they don't get mad about you using the codes that they've set up. That's like going and making rules and then someone getting mad that you followed the rules that they made. They do not care. They only care when you're not following the rules. The truth is 99% of tax stuff is automated anyway, unless you give them a reason to audit your account by saying something suspicious or claiming a ridiculous amount.
I'm like, no, I can totally buy that Phantom. It's a Section 179. It's a free vehicle.
For those of you not familiar with what a 179 is, it's part of the US tax code that lets businesses deduct the full purchase price of qualifying equipment or certain business property in the first year that it's put in service instead of depreciating it over a few years. This is pretty common among business savvy people. It's something I've considered doing myself in one of my businesses. It's not a golden ticket to write off everything. Notice how Wes Watson said it's a free car, his Rolls-Royce Phantom. Wes saying this means that he almost certainly has a business. Now, I looked a while back trying to find out, does Wes have any registered businesses, and I couldn't find anything. But if he takes a 179, he absolutely has to have a business because it's a business deduction. And vehicles do qualify, but there's one major kicker that Wes expects you not to know. On a 179 deduction, the car must exceed 6,000 pounds. A Rolls-Royce Phantom does not. So it wouldn't qualify for an upfront deduction. So instead, he would have to depreciate the vehicle over a few years instead of deducting the full price in the first calendar year. And the tax code puts limits on how much you can deduct. You can't deduct the full amount of the car. The cap for luxury business vehicles is $20,000 per year. So no, Wes is not getting a free vehicle.
Talking about Bugatti payment too?
No, he can't do the Bugatti either. It's the same thing. The Rolls-Royce Phantom is closer to 6,000 pounds than the Bugatti. There's zero chance he's taking a 179 deduction for the full value of the car. But notice here, Wes said he makes payments on this Bugatti. He said his Bugatti payment.
Bugatti payment too?
Now, I thought he was going around saying he owns all this stuff. He's a big baller, right? It's his car, it's his car. Now, John Bravo just made a video exposing that Wes is trying to sell the car or get rid of it. It's because he can't make his payments. But like I just said, the Bugatti's under 6,000 pounds. It would not qualify for an upfront deduction. He would be able to deduct $20,000 max per year because it's a luxury car deduction.
Everything is
Phantom.
everything is advertising.
Facts.
Watch advertising.
What Wes says about advertising is true in some sense. When you have a business and you pay for something that inherently promotes your business, like through advertising or through, personal brand stuff or whatever, you can deduct it. But there's caps. You can't simply go and buy $1 million of oranges and say, oh yeah, well, I made a swimming pool of oranges and I made a video, but no, you can't do that. The funniest thing Wes says here is how his watch is an advertisement piece. And sure, he likes to go and flex it online, but I can say with certainty that is 100% not a 179 deduction. Forget the fact of what Wes is doing and how I don't think it's business in general. Watches just aren't a 179 piece because the IRS looks at it as a personal use item. It can be worn in any context. It can be worn in business, but it's also worn in personal. So just because you call it advertising like Wes does, it does not become qualifying property under section 179. 179 is to cover tangible property like machinery, equipment, and certain vehicles, not clothing and jewelry. Wes seems to think or want you to believe that it's just this cover-all for all business expenses. It's not. And if he puts all that into 179, he's going to get audited if he hasn't already.
What about the house?
House advertising. Everything's advertising.
Right off the mortgage or what?
Dude, the pad is it's a trailer in Montana.
Facts.
And then the actual house over here is to film content.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It's a content space.
So apparently Wes owns a trailer in Montana. Okay, I guess that's one of the only things Wes actually owns, which I don't know how that applies to anything we're talking about here. Let's pop the bubble here Wessie Boy's trying to say about how he deducts his rent in Miami, because he doesn't. The IRS does allow for business deductions on a residence if it's used for business purposes. This is talking about an office or a dedicated workspace. At no point in any of Wes's content, which I still look at sometimes by the way, have I ever seen Wes have a dedicated office space. So if you don't have a dedicated space, how are you going to go and say, I used X amount of the property for business? There is no chance the IRS is going to look at this big mansion and say, oh yeah, that's all for business. You have to split the house and say, I used 30% for business, 70% for personal. And then that percentage becomes how much you can deduct. For example, if Wes pays $100,000 per month, 30% of the house is used for business, he can deduct 30% of that, which is $30,000 per month. That would be a $360,000 write-off per year. But since I haven't seen anything like that, there's no reason to expect Wes to be getting anywhere near that deduction. Now, I don't know if Wes is still talking about the 179 or he moved past that, but just to let you guys know, houses are not 179, period. It's not for real estate. It'll never be for real estate. But for the sake of Wes Watson, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'm going to say he gets to claim a 10% deduction, even though I think that's way too high given how I see him use his house. And based on this, we can get a general idea of what Wes's tax liability would be. So follow with me on this. Earlier, Wes said that he had a small, or his spending account, remember, for his chick and his maid of about $800,000. Well, we can assume that he has at least two accounts, since he said this one is for spending and that the other one is larger. So we have a minimum of $1.6 million. Now, do I believe that? Heck no, I don't believe that. But anyway, let's go along with that. That means Wes has a taxable income of $1.6 million. Now, Wes would have structured his business as either an S corporation or a pass-through LLC, also known as a disregarded entity. The reason for that is because you have self-employment tax, which is around 15% that hits you if you have a standard C corporation. Whenever there's only one person in the business, it's almost always smart to do an S corp or a pass-through entity where you report your taxes and file on your personal return. So Wes, we're going to say, has an S corporation. He mentioned four things in particular in this video. His Rolls-Royce Phantom, it's under 6,000 pounds, so it's going to be a depreciation over years, $20,000 per year deduction max. The Bugatti, under 6,000 pounds, $20,000 per year luxury max. His home, it's not going to be anywhere near the full price. I don't know what world he's living on, but giving him a generous 10% business use, which I don't see at all in his videos, that's a $120,000 deduction. I explained jewelry will almost never apply because it's just as much for personal use as it is for business, especially when you're buying watches that look icy and look flashy in front of other people. So those deductions equal $160,000, leaving Wes's taxable income at roughly $1.44 million. Wes is not married, so he'd be filing these taxes as a single tax filer, and the rates depend a little bit based on what state you live. But if we're talking just federal, his income tax would be roughly $491,000. And I am rounding up a little bit to get whole numbers here. There also would be a Medicare surtax that comes in as well for roughly $11,000. That brings his total federal tax obligation to $502,000. $8,000. But don't think we're done yet, guys. We haven't even talked about state income tax. Now, truthfully, I have no idea where Wes's corporation is set up at. He has ties to California, ties to Florida, and for some reason in this video, he mentioned Montana. I went ahead and did the math on all three, so we can see the answer regardless. If Wes's corporation comes out of Florida, they have 0% state income tax, meaning Wes would simply owe the federal $502,000. It's actually $502,148, so I don't want to forget that $148 old Wesy Poo owes. If he's based out of Montana, they have a flat 5.9% state tax, meaning he would owe an additional $84,960 in tax, bringing his total obligation if he's based out of Montana to $587,108 in taxes owed. If he's based in California, I believe the top tax rate of all the states in the country, he would owe an additional $184,000 because California is over 13%, by the way, 13.3%, bringing his total tax obligation to $686,148 after his little wee deduction. Now, there are going to be some small things that Wes is going to be able to deduct here or there, and I will give some credit to that. So maybe we deduct $50,000 off the final numbers. Do I think he can deduct that much? No, I don't. But things like your cell phone, your internet, for his coaching business, yeah, you can deduct all that. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt, knock 50 grand off each one. So for Florida, he would have potentially $452,148. For Montana, he would have $537,108. And in California, he would have $636,148 in tax liability. I don't know if Wes actually meant what he said, or he just tried to sound smart or like this baller, or maybe he didn't know the camera was on. I have no idea. But what he just said here is complete crap. And if he's actually trying to do this, I completely understand why the IRS is banging down his door. And if he is, the 7-foot monster might not be the one to do him in. It might be old Uncle Sam. But guys, I just want to say this is just all my opinion and my numbers. I'm not an accountant, and I'm not accusing Wes of anything. You all make your own opinion on this. Let me know down below, guys. What do you think? Do you think Wes pays his taxes? And if you don't, how much money do you think Wes owes to the government? Thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. I really appreciate the support. I meant to post a video last week, but I actually got Andy Elliott's team on a sales call, and this here just popped up today, like the day I was getting ready to post, and I said, you know what? I got to show you guys this. So next week, I got a video on Andy Elliott. The week after that, we are going live with Andy Elliott's team. It was a pretty wild call, so make sure you guys are here for that. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you for watching to the end. Y'all have a nice week. I'll see you next time.